I appreciate you coming today. We'll go ahead and get started. Several things we want to get across here today to the media, hopefully in one full swoop, because there's many different things we're dealing with and trying to work through, and also prepare for the start of school, which is our primary and focus that we have right now. I will answer questions after we're through, and just allow me to get through everything before you do ask any questions. First of all, the district did receive another grand jury subpoena from the United States Federal Court. This is our 5th request for information. The contents of that subpoena in question should be directed to J.R. Hobbs, District Attorney handling this, at 816-221-0080, and I'm sure Mr. Hobbs appreciates me giving out his phone number. We will continue to produce any information and will cooperate fully in any regards to that investigation by the grand jury and the FBI, but we will not divulge the contents or the information in regards to that subpoena due to we don't want to jeopardize in any shape or way that information or the grand jury investigation or also the people involved. Everybody has rights, and we fully understand that. Secondly, briefly, state audit. We did receive a letter. Joey will have a handout from the Department of Elementary Secondary Education in regards to a follow-up on the state audit that we will have to respond to. Again, it's a check and balance system. DESE has started some new procedures as well. I think it's a very good process that we need to be in full compliance with, and we will. We have to show them action plans and things that we're already doing. I think the 22-point plan that's been placed and the board approved and a timeline established is an excellent approach to how we're dealing with a lot of these issues and items in getting the St. Joe School District back on track. Also, we just finished up initial audit review by the IRS. They were actually in our offices last week from August 4th to the 7th. We actually view this IRS review as an opportunity to find out what we need to do better, to improve upon, to correct, because ultimately that's our goal, is to get things right, to make sure we're doing proper procedures, protocol in regards to any financial IRS tax purposes. We just need to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. We tend to fully, again, comply with the IRS review, and it will be a full year review or longer. They will be in and out over the course of this next year. They aren't just done with what they were in here last week for. And it will be an ongoing process, and we hopefully will learn a lot through this process. Wes Metz, our finance director, has been heavily instrumental in working with the IRS last week and the finance department and getting some things for them and during this review. Reorganization update. As we're moving forward, basically due to the light that the 63-cent tax levy is that was part of our total levy is no longer in place because it has a sunset clause with it. We're basically losing $6.3 million in revenue for next year, this current year 15-16 budget. Ever since basically last spring, and even when I came on board in July, we have reviewed and evaluated all positions that have been open, that we currently have, through attrition, through just staff evaluations, whether those positions were needed or not. And basically to date, we have eliminated 14 positions in operations alone, in maintenance operations, and 12 certified staff positions for roughly of an approximate figure of $750,000 in reductions going into this 15-16 school year. And that's basically just been in the last 30 to 45 days. And that's an extraordinary amount of time and energy that has been placed in evaluating all these positions. As of today, we also eliminated the warehouse supervisor position. And that brings that maintenance and warehousing operations area to a total of 15 positions. As we move forward in these evaluations, there's going to be others to come. We're trying to do this the best we can in attrition, in evaluating of all personnel. And as issues arise, we will deal with those issues accordingly in regards to those personnel matters. This has been an extensive process ever since our two new HR director and assistant director came on board July 20th. That is Amy Todd and Carolyn Sanders, with the help of Mark Frost and Vida Santone. They have begun turning the HR department around. It's still a slow process, but we're making day-to-day headway, which is a big plus for the school district. The release of the annual performance report by the state has been delayed until October. We will have Kendra Lau here available afterwards to answer any questions in regards to the state data. We fully expect the St. Joe School District data results probably will trend in initial indicators similar to what the state trend has been. And the main goal is for the district is to educate students, and this data is a great guide and indicator on the educational process of the district and if we're improving or not in those academic areas by our students. This date apparently is later than normal due to vendor issues. It was the first year, as everybody I think realizes, for the online testing. It has been confirmed by DESE. Typically at this time of the year, the APR for each district across the state has been released, and everybody typically expects that. We just want to make sure everybody understands that it has been delayed until October. As we get a lot of these issues behind us, the good things are starting to happen. We have all staff at a district rally on Friday at the Civic Arena. Everybody's invited. That begins at 9 a.m. There's our staff district rally for the year. Dr. Tim Crowley is a keynote speaker, and we really appreciate the cost of that speaker being picked up by the St. Joseph District Foundation. And if you get a chance to thank them, we really appreciate their ability to step up in this regards. The school district, and every school district across the state, is opening school either this week or next week. And if you stop and realize it, a school district is one of your largest transportation businesses in the city. The school district is one of your largest food services businesses in the city, let alone trying to educate over 11,000 students. That's our goal. That's what we're here to do, and we start school on Monday. With that, I'll open up any questions. We're going to make this, okay? We're going to make it happen for the St. Joe School District. Thank you.
So Superintendent Newhart, can you tell us if you have identified where the stipends were going to, the teachers? I know you can't say specifics, but have you found out where that money was going?
Most of the stipends that were retroactively approved by the board were going to administrators.
And have you identified who those administrators are?
At this particular time, I have not had that information laid out in front of me, no.
Can you talk about how much money they were receiving?
I do not have that information either. And that's, I'm letting the investigation take its course in that regards, and that's for the grand jury to decide.
audit review that you're sending back? What are some of the things you're looking at?
It's a lot of policies and procedures, a lot of tightening up in practices across the board. I think you'll see in that handout that DESE is asking for a lot of the areas from mileage to receipts to documentation, making sure that, again, I've said this many times before, the right hand and the left hand know what they're doing. That we have a trail that when something is paid out, that there's a record of why it was being paid out, and that all bills, for instance, go before the board, so they have approval and they have knowledge of those bills being paid out, those types of things.
And regarding the subpoena that we just received, you had mentioned that you had hoped the federal investigation would be wrapped up soon. Is this going to lengthen that time span?
That's a good question. Just in a common sense, I would not think an additional subpoena would help shorten it.
What was the date when that subpoena was received?
Actually, I believe it was yesterday.
And can you comment at all about what types of things the subpoena was for? What are they requesting?
Really, the content of the subpoena needs to be in the hands of the grand jury, and it's really for their decision, and I don't want to affect any grand jury investigation in regards to that.
You can go into detail if it was documents, witness testimony, anything like that?
It was just information from current and former employees. It was, again, I believe, information apparently that they felt they needed and to move forward with their investigation.
Did that decision have any effect on the releasing of teachers, the amount of money that you've lost, letting go of some of those people?
Well, there's no doubt the issues and practices that have happened here in the St. Joe School District was a slippery slope. And the 63 cents on the tax levy is really what is affecting our budget today. $6.3 million is hard to make up. And we're trying to make the most efficient, responsible organization we can make it. And we've been reviewing every position. We've been reviewing and evaluating hires and whether or not we've needed those positions or not. And comparably speaking, what the staff looked like number-wise last year, we are down 14 positions in operations and 12 certified staff members at this time. And that's my latest figures. As I speak, that's always being evaluated and looked at. So we're going to be ready for school to start on Monday, though.
How many more positions do you think could be cut? Are you expecting more cuts throughout the school year?
Potentially, and when we look at this restructuring, basically I've advised the directors and the staff for an approximate 5%, which is roughly that $6 million that we've lost in revenue. And we're looking at a lot of different areas, from categorical programs to capital projects even, and trying to come up with that difference to have a balanced budget. And we're going to do our best to get there and set forth a plan that ultimately I think will be a complete reorganization and a vision that the city and the community will want. It's got to be an effort that we sit down together with staff and community members for that vision. But currently right now, we're trying to get the current operations and organizational structure as efficient as we can make it.
$6.3 million, that's a lot. Is it possible that you'll have to explore cutting positions outside of attrition?
That be at some point in time, that could be a possibility, yes. Right now, we're still doing a lot of reviewing and evaluating and determination in all positions. I've not set forth a timeline on that yet. We're still working on an amended budget that will come before the board September 28th. As personnel issues arise, those issues are looked at, and whether or not the positions are needed are determined.
Will parents and students see a difference in maybe curricular activities or?
Well, we believe right now that the current academic programs will not be affected. And we believe right now that most of these items have been in operations and maintenance and some fringe areas in our school programs. Credit recovery, we're doing more things in-house, just after speaking with our Director of Secondary Education today, Sandy Stiegel. So we believe by creative reevaluation and also what is the best interest of our students, just by that alone, for instance, instead of sending our kids off to a credit recovery building, trying to do that within the high school buildings themselves where those kids can stay in that same building. It was basically the idea. Wow, how practical. Very practical. So those types of things is really what we're looking at to make sure that we're still meeting the needs of the students and the educational programs, but also valuing the taxpayer dollar and making sure that the proper spending and the prudent decision-making is there.
Dr. Newhart, you had mentioned the IRS examination as something to work for and that they'll be coming in and out over the next year or so. What are some of those things that you're thinking will be corrected?
Well, a very good point here and a lesson, I think, would be the Missouri Western IRS evaluation that occurred just recently. And I think all of us can pick up from that. And they handled it very well. Very much credit to Dr. Varbadium and the staff at Missouri Western. I think it's an opportunity for our finance department to make sure that the proper percentages are applied and the proper, what do I want to say, FICA amounts are applied, those types of things. And it's not by design. It's just trying to stay up with regulations and changes in the law that I think somehow, some way, through all this transition and issues that have happened in the district over the last year. You know, you got to understand the district didn't have a CFO for over 8 months out of the year. And there's just some things I think that even going back to 2003 where the IRS audit references to or review references to, there were some changes leading up into the federal regulations that over the years maybe the district didn't stay up in practice with.
So are you thinking there's going to be quite a few things to fix? And
I think there will be findings, yes. How much or what the dollar value is, I have no clue right now at this time. But I think there's definitely going to be findings.
So you think you may have been unintentional from those administrators, like maybe they didn't know what they were doing?
I don't want to go on record or blame anybody at this particular point in time. That's not what I'm here for. It's trying to move the district forward. And I think what I'm viewing this IRS review as is an opportunity for us today to move forward and get it right. I can't necessarily speak of necessarily the fault or blame that happened 2 years ago. Any further questions? Okay.
We have documents to hand out, so.
Thank you.